Marcus Rashford. Lots of criticism over the last few weeks, to the point where United players are, not United players, United fans are talking about, whether it makes sense to let him go. I mean, there are rumors linking him to Arsenal now, which surprised me when I heard them. What's going on? Is Rashford really a bad player now? Is he just not up to scruff at United? What's your take on this?
I'll tell you the bigger problem. The bigger problem is ex-players and pundits like Roy Keane who have a defined expectation of how a player should be. They have a problem with Rashford going out to watch a game. I mean, he has a life. He puts his effort into football. Look at it, talk about his performance, criticize him about his performance. You aren't really entitled to talk about what he does in his own free time. I mean, the club knows that he's going out for something and it's time outside of the club. What do you want him to do after a defeat? Like hide inside his bed or like watch a million football videos or like train for 24 hours straight every single day? You don't have proper expectations at all. And this is a very rigid thinking that's permeating throughout Manchester United and their fan base. Roy Keane can talk all big stuff while he's sitting comfortably in a chair, just commentating, being a pundit, and having zero accountability for anything. But what it does actually is it harms a player's mentality, it harms a player's morale because hey, you're an ex-player, you are probably more likely to know what players go through. But you talk as if these players are just fashion models who are out there to play football once a week. Sorry, I think that's wrong. That's the bigger problem. More than Rashford, the problem is the culture around the club and these ex players, pundits, smart asses as you call them. I call him a smart ass. Roy Keane himself, a failed manager, is trying to talk crap about players who he definitely has no idea about.
Yeah,
I
and
think, yeah,
I do
sorry.
believe like part of this, and that's a different discussion, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I do feel like a lot of this so-called toxicity comes from the fact that modern players are just earning on another level, which allows them
Exactly.
to uh, enjoy their time off, well-deserved time off in ways that ex-players probably never could. But that point being aside, Rashford is still a young player, calling him done, calling him dusted. I mean, one of the best seasons he had for United, he was working through a back injury. In fact, he was already suffering from a stress fracture, and I believe it was a match against Wolves where he ended up taking a fall and ended up getting a second stress fracture in his lumbar spine. So he was already working through half the season through an injury, taking pain medication, and with cortisone shots and all of that stuff. That being said, I think 2 seasons ago, or maybe I think it was last season, that he also had a shoulder injury that he was nursing through, and because say you think that shoulder injuries are not, you can work through a shoulder injury in football because you're not using your arm so much. He actually nursed that injury for a while until the point that they were like, okay, we have to operate on this now. So you're talking about a player who has literally been playing through at least two fairly severe injuries for the club he absolutely adores. And then after having surgery, coming back out to play, obviously there's going to be a difference. Obviously there's going to be a catch-up period, and we've seen that with Virgil van Dijk coming back from an ACL. This season has not been great for him. The only reason that Liverpool are doing as good as they are is, well, not the only reason, but Joel Matip has been a big reason for why that defense has been good. And Ederson, who is, has had to pull out some amazing
Allison.
saves. Sorry, Allison,
Allison.
my bad. They're both Brazilian. Who cares? I, I have, but yeah, Allison has had to kind of pull out some amazing saves as well. And Van Dijk has not had a great season, and a lot of that has got to do with the fact that he's recovering from an ACL injury still. So it's not like these injuries are one and done. It takes a long time to really get back to anywhere close to 100%.
Hold on,
And
hold on, hold on. Disclaimer: this guy is a physical therapist. He knows what he's talking about. So this guy knows what he's talking about. When he talks about ACL, When he talks about injuries, he knows what he's talking about. He has a goddamn degree for it.
But that's the thing where, and to add to that, Rashford really hasn't had a lot of game time this season either. Even in smaller games, he hasn't seen the pitch a lot, and that's important to get players back up to speed. You can't expect him to be subbed in a crucial match in the 70th minute and just expect to do things. You see him on the pitch, he's anxious to go on those runs that he was going on 2 seasons ago, because and I get it, his body's just afraid. He needs to build more confidence, he needs more time in there. And amongst all of that, amongst everything that he has done for the club, and of course we all know what he has done, working with the NIH, with the making sure that the midday meal programs stay working for kids. Like, he's using his power as a celebrity almost to make a positive difference in the world, and there are people out there who have the nerve to call him out on that, saying that he needs to
Just
focus on his football,
yeah,
which is
just because they are not getting results, they have a problem with his philanthropy, which again is so stupid. It's
and
unbelievably stupid, to be very honest.
yeah. And let's bring this back again to the footballing issue. Like, do you feel as a person who watches football, or even if you had a stake in the issue, like, how would you approach the Marcus Rashford situation? Is it time that he leaves United? He's been at the club for, I think, 7 years now. um is it time that he leave United, or what? How would you?
I would definitely not sell him. Uh, Manchester United have been in flux for a while. Do you see a consistent system at Manchester United? No. Do you see a consistent manager at Manchester United? No. Do you see a game plan at Manchester United? No. Aren't these huge red flags? And with these red flags, I don't think any player is going to like really prosper or go on have a 30 goals and assist season ever. So there are issues to be addressed. I understand, yes, Rashford is also a part of the problem because he's also a stakeholder. And if it's a problem, there are problems everywhere, not just on one side of things. And you've given him your iconic number 10 shirt, which means you believe that player, or you believed that player for a while. What's with not believing in him right now, or what's with this argument right now just because results aren't going your way? There has to be some sort of logic, right? I mean, if you use analytics and data for all your scouting and transfers, might as well put that into picture and figure out whether his contributions have really dropped, or is he really hitting the numbers he was hitting prior, considering all the impacts of injuries, recovery time, and things like that. And if you think the marker is going red, then maybe take a decision. Might not be a good one, might be a harsh one. You might still get public backlash because again, fans are as volatile as they can be. One day they'll support you, the next day they'll bin you. So they might cheer at selling out Rashford and getting some points, but as soon as the results go the other way, fans are going to complain about why did you sell Rashford. So it's a slippery slope. You've got to address it very carefully. And I think this is a very recoverable situation. Plus, the player being on the younger side, there's still time to mold him. I think with the right manager and the right setup, Rashford can get back to better days. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, Manchester DNA through and through, right? And in this situation of flux, what a club like United probably needs the most is a player that embodies that DNA. In form or not, they need a player to who really understands what it means to be a Manchester United player. As much as I would actually like him to be a part of the Arsenal setup, I probably wouldn't pay too much for him again. That's the analytical side of me talking, but it's important that a player of his caliber be given the respect that he does. He may not be the superstar that we may have initially thought he was going to be, and a lot of it has got to do with injuries and not just the fact that his success got to his head. Let's try and get that straight. But it's still important that he gets all the love and all the respect that he has earned as a player at Manchester United, and he gets the time um, at Old Trafford that he deserves.